Hey guys, so this is another long-awaited video that I've been asked to do for months. Whether it's people asking for different ways to improve their aim or for tricks and pointers to hit more shots, this video should answer everything and anything you need to know regarding improving your aim. So because aiming is kind of a general term in Fortnite, I'm going to split the video up into 4 different sections: long range and mid range AR tracking, close range shotgun aim, mid and close range SMG spray, and then finally projectile aim like snipers and RPGs. For each section, I'm going to first give you guys some tips to help you learn the fundamentals of that specific aiming section, go over why and what is important to learn, and finally give you guys some creative courses and aim training courses that you can use to improve your aim quickly and efficiently. I'll be doing my best to give tips and tricks for every platform from PC to console to Switch to mobile, so let's jump into it, starting first with long range and mid range AR tracking. This section will cover the scenarios where you're shooting at an enemy with either an assault rifle or SMG while aimed in. That's where the tracking name comes from. Because you're aiming down sight, you need to be constantly keeping track and tracking the enemy's movements with your crosshairs to stay on top of them and be more accurate with your shots. My first tip for tracking is extremely important but also basic. You need to make sure you're watching and anticipating your enemy's movements. You should be making mental notes in your head of where they're going so you can adjust your crosshairs accordingly. So if a target is moving left then jumps up, your crosshair should follow that same pattern on top of them. I know that sounds stupid, like, duh Jarian, we all get that. But when you guys send me clips asking how to improve your aim, I almost always see you guys struggling with tracking. The problem comes down to either one of two things: you're not anticipating and following your enemy's movements, or your sensitivity is so out of whack and either too fast or so slow that you just can't keep up with them. If you're having trouble following their movements with your crosshairs, the fix is pretty simple. Like I said before, you need to be telling yourself where they're going. If you ever watch someone like Teadoh track a player, it's incredible how accurate he is even if a player is diving down while gliding sporadically or moving back and forth. A player like Teadoh with insane tracking aim is mentally making those notes in his head, and because he's so in tune with his aim and his sensitivity, he knows exactly what adjustments to make to hit his shots and when to do them. Teadoh sees a guy sprinting left and jumping up, and his crosshair does the same exact thing without missing a beat. Because again, he's not thinking, oh, I need to move my arm this much or flick my thumb up this much. It's second nature to him, so all he's doing is anticipating, not predicting, but waiting for his enemy to make the move so he can adjust as well. The distinction between predicting and anticipating is important, and we'll talk about it more in the projectile aim section, but you never want to be predicting where they're going with tracking aim. You want to be waiting for them to quickly change direction or do whatever, and then you need to make that same change yourself with your aim on them. If you're predicting and they quickly juke you out but you didn't expect it, you'll end up missing a ton of shots and then you'll waste time having to adjust back onto them. But anticipating, on the other hand, allows you to hit more shots in less time, as you're not wasting that extra time shooting when you mispredict and it hits nothing. This brings up the second solution to fixing your tracking aim, which is finding a good sensitivity. Without a good sensitivity, even if you do manage to make mental notes of what the enemy is doing, you'll overshoot if your sense is too high, or you'll undershoot if your sense is too low. If you're not comfortable with your sensitivity, I recommend watching my ultimate guide to Fortnite sense video. For tracking, your ADS sense is probably more important than your in-game X and Y sense. My suggestion to find a good ADS sense is to either choose 0.5 or 1.0 and then adjust from there. So 0.5 means your ADS sense is half of your hipfire sense. I started there and then I moved down to 0.40 as I think it's easier to aim in and hit people from further away with a much slower ADS sense. Some people prefer 1.0, which means their ADS sense is the same as their hipfire sense. To practice your tracking aim and find that perfect sense, I recommend 3 different drills to do. First is a creative course I found from Selage, and I'll put the code on the screen for it now. This course uses targets that have aim assist enabled, so it works for every platform, including console. To practice your tracking aim, remember again to focus and anticipate their movement, then make the proper adjustments to keep tracking on them. This is definitely some of the best practice that you'll get within Fortnite for tracking. You can also go over to the drill with different red targets that pop up. This is very similar to Kovaak's aim trainer and will help you build muscle memory, making quick adjustments as each target pops up. Make sure you move to the next target quickly so you can adjust and improve your aim instead of just slowly moving from target to target so slowly that you'll never miss. The other course I was using for my examples is from Beaks, which is another great creative course, but Selage's is just bigger and has a lot more options. Next way to practice is by playing Team Rumble. I swear this game is amazing for tracking aim because of everyone gliding in constantly after they die. You can practice your tracking aim by keeping your crosshair and hitting shots on people respawning or just from people running far away. With the current state of Fortnite right now, Team Rumble is really fun and it's actually a surprisingly great way to improve your tracking aim. The last way to improve your tracking aim is of course my favorite aim trainer in the world, Kovaak's. Kovaak's is only available on PC though, so F in the chat for console and mobile players. For tracking aim, you should be playing Ascended Tracking V3. You can aim in with right click to practice as you would in an actual Fortnite game, and the targets move around and jump up and down at different speeds. I have a video on how you should set up Kovaaks, including your resolution, FOV, sensitivity, and ADS sense, so be sure to give that a look. Now for the next section of my aiming guide, close range shotgun aim. In my opinion, good shotgun aim is the easiest to learn but the hardest to master. Even if you have decent shotgun aim, hitting those insane flicks or hard shots consistently is difficult for everyone, even the best players in the world. I have 3 tips and tricks for improving your shotgun aim overall for players struggling to hit any shots, as well as good players who are looking to make their shotgun aim elite. First is crosshair placement. This is a basic tip, but even when I watch certain pros, I see them forget to use their shotgun crosshair placement to their advantage. The tip is that you always want to keep your crosshair high up as you walk around buildings or turn corners where an enemy may be. When you keep it low, it takes longer to flick up to their head and you'll be more likely to miss, or you'll just shoot them in the legs and do no damage. If you keep your crosshairs high, you'll always be ready to shoot and hit them in the chest and head for much more damage. The point of shotguns is to do as much damage as you can in as little time as possible. Especially with the pump, you want to hit those juicy headshots instead of hitting them in the toes. The best way to integrate this into your game is to just practice always keeping your crosshair high and telling yourself this every time you're inside a building. Soon enough, it will become second nature to you. Second tip is to use a mixture of lining up the shots with your body and then aiming. So for PC, you want to use a mixture of your WASD keys to line up your body, and then use your mouse to flick and hit them. For controller, you want to use a mixture of both thumbsticks. If you're only using your body to line up shots and someone quickly moves out of the way, you'll never be able to hit them. And if you're only using your aim and not lining up your body with them, you'll have a much harder time hitting tough flick shots. What you want to be doing is always try to position yourself and line up your body with the enemy, so no matter where they go, you can make an adjustment with your crosshair to hit your shots. Of course, there will be times where someone's behind you and turning your body all the way around is impossible. That's where flicks come in, but 95% of the time, line your body up, then line up your crosshair, and you'll be much more accurate than doing only one of those things. Last tip is for when to ADS with your shotgun and when not to. My tip is to only try and aim in when your enemy can't get a quick shot off back on you. So if you can get a free shot on them when they're not looking at you or they're just gliding in, aim in to decrease the bullet spread and be more accurate. When your enemy is in your box or right in front of your face, this is when you don't want to aim in. Aiming in makes you a stationary target and easier to hit. This is when you want to hip fire and make yourself a harder target to hit. So try to only ADS when you can get a free shot off, otherwise hip fire. The creative course that I recommend for shotgun aim is from Teadoh. I really like the drills that use the bouncers, as that really helps you with my second tip of aligning your body up with the target and then using your aim to adjust and hit the shot. All the targets have aim assist, so it works for controller players, and overall it's just a really good shotgun course, probably the best that I could find. Team Rumble is also great for shotgun aim, as you can practice hitting your flicks and crosshair placement by landing in a contested area like Tilted. It also helps to practice when you should and shouldn't ADS using your shotgun, and you'll find yourself realizing, oh, I probably shouldn't have ADS'd in that fight, maybe that's why I died. The last practice drill should be Kovaaks, and the scenario I recommend is Tile Frenzy 180. If you follow my Kovaaks guide, you can get the shotgun crosshair from Fortnite and Kovaaks to get the best and most realistic practice. This really helped my flicks in getting headshots more consistently, as you have to hit the target with the center of your crosshair to destroy it. In Fortnite, that would be hitting your opponent with all your pellets for maximum damage, so it really is great practice. Third section is mid and close range SMG spraying. This section and the next section will be much shorter than the other two. My main tip for SMG spray is to just find a good hipfire sense and focus on your target in these cases. Most of the time when you miss your shots while spraying, it's because you're too focused on hitting the shots instead of watching your opponent's movements, or you just end up standing still and you become too easy of a target. You should be practicing crouch spamming and jumping while hipfiring to get good practice for in-game scenarios. Also practice keeping your crosshairs on the target. Your hipfire crosshairs are huge, so try to center the crosshair around their chest. The chest is the biggest part of your opponent's body and will allow you to hit the most shots while spraying. Selage's course has really good drills for short-range hipfire spraying, so you can do that with your SMG. And of course, Team Rumble is another great way to practice, like I've said before. For Kovaaks, I recommend Tile Frenzy 180 400% tracking. You should use your hipfire sense for this, like the other Tile Frenzy 180 game. Only use your ADS sense for ascended tracking. This game is good for hipfire sense because your targets are moving all over the place and you can practice those close range fights you get into after you hit a shotgun and then you need to finish the opponent off with your SMG. The last section is projectile aim. Most guns in Fortnite, like assault rifles, shotguns, and SMGs, are hit scan, meaning if someone is really far away, as long as you're aimed in on them, you'll hit the shot. Your bullets have no travel time, so you don't need to factor in anything like distance away into your aim. For projectiles like snipers, RPGs, and the new crossbow, when you shoot the bullet or rocket, it has travel time. This is where you should be predicting where an enemy goes. You need to know how long it will take the RPG or sniper to hit the spot you're aiming in. So for tracking with an AR, you want to be anticipating, but for a projectile like an RPG or sniper, you want to be predicting. If I know an RPG is slow and a guy is running to the left and I predict he's going to keep moving left, I'll aim my RPG 5 steps ahead of where he is to account for the travel time. The best way to practice this is just to play the game and practice with RPGs and snipers and get used to their travel time. A good Kovaak scenario is mid-air mix. If I predict incorrectly or I don't account for the travel time, you can see that I just completely miss. But as I learn and get used to its travel time, I get a lot more accurate when I predict their movement correctly. Overall, these tips and tricks and practice drills should help you guys improve in every aspect of your aim. If this video did help you guys, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on post notifications. Thank you to everyone who is using my code and sending me pictures on Twitter and Instagram. I love you all, and we'll give you guys kisses on the mouth like Hamlin's at the Fortnite World Cup Finals. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.